Hello and welcome. I'm doing a bit of I guess, a format experiment today. There's going to be no educational Excel content in this video to speak of, but I just thought I would do a breakdown slash reaction to the first two rounds of the Excel World Championships 2024, mostly inspired by being a little jealous of Elliot Patterson and Lorenzo did a video recapping the season and breaking down the draw, which I really enjoyed. If you're, here for serious studiousness, then I don't know, come back another day and maybe you'll learn something. But so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk through a few things that happened, talk through the cases, talk through the results. Yeah, and just we'll see how it goes. If you like the format, I'd be interested to hear. But I'm mostly doing it as an indulgence rather than for you. So make of that what you will. So a few random observations up front. One, I just thought it was a great set of cases. There was a Peter Charles, a Klinsmann Langhans, a Grayson Hune, and a Harry Watson. And I thought they were all super. They were probably, in aggregate, a little on the easier side compared to some of the past years, but just like all really enjoyable solves. Second observation, this has been kind of becoming more of a theme for a while now, is just that there is a really deep bench in the competition, partly demonstrated by some of the serious players who didn't even make it into the top 128, but also demonstrated by some of the score stats that I'm going to show you. You know, was it only 3 years ago? Yeah, 3 years ago, the first one of these competitions, they they could kind of only just round up 128 people to take part at all, and that was already a kind of big achievement for a new format and whatever. But there were lots of zero scores in round one and round two. I think the lowest score across all of the whatever 190-ish scores between the four cases last weekend was still hundreds of points, and the average was much higher than that. And so it used to be that, if like me, you were pretty good at this, you could be pretty confident that you were unlikely to hit anybody else who was very good at this in the first few rounds. And now that is just not the case at all. And of course, the result of that is that there have already, in just a couple of rounds, been lots of upsets. So we've had 3 of the top 8 seeds have been eliminated. 3 people who were in the final, whatever number it was, final 16 in Las Vegas last year have already been eliminated. Yeah, lots of upsets. Although, of course, remember, Michael Jarman got knocked out in the first round last year and then came back through the last chance qualifier round and almost ended up winning. So they're out for now, but not permanently out yet. There's lots of paths to the final. So let's take a look at the cases. The first case in the morning round was 30-Minute Mystery by Peter Charles. I was a test solver for this case, and I wrote back to Emmels when he sent it to me, and wrote to Peter as well, to say this case was a work of art. It's like similar in a way to the treasure hunt that Peter did for one of the rounds during the year. Just a real sort of shift of the format. So rather than the bonus questions being, just, hey, here, let's think of some other hard questions we can ask, the bonus questions are kind of what it's all about. So, in Treasure Hunt, you had to kind of solve all the levels to complete a map, and then the whole game was about following the map to find the treasure. Similar thing in this one, you had to, play a board game to find clues, but then each of the bonuses asked you to take all the clues from that level and use them to identify a suspect from a list of suspects. He told me it's based on an actual card game called 5-Minute Mystery, which I will have to check out. But yeah, I loved this case. It's an interesting one because it's also open to just a very wide range of approaches. And it's the one thing that I kind of worried about when I saw that all the 5 bonus questions were the same was that it would be too samey, that you'd work out something for the first one and then just carry it forward. But actually, especially if you were on the live stream and thinking about, bonus time pressure, or just if you weren't sure you'd get the whole thing done, taking the time to work out a general solution to the whole thing might not have been your best approach, especially because in the earlier levels there were lots more yes clues, and like yes clues are, this person is specifically wearing this item of clothing, they're wearing this color, they have this food stain, and so you could just filter the database and you'd be down to, you know, one or two people. Whereas by the end there were fewer and fewer yes clues. In the last level there was no yes clues, only no clues, and so there's a totally different approach required. So if you had taken the time to build a general thing that took a whole list of clues and solved for a suspect, then, you know, you could crack a bonus as soon as you got any level, but the time investment in that might mean, A, if you were on the live stream, that a bunch of the earlier bonuses were already gone by people using kind of quick and dirty methods, and B, it might just mean you ran out of time in the 30 minutes. But yeah, love this case. So the stats, the average score was 864. So this is kind of what I was saying about the bench strength, is just sort of off the charts at the moment. Top score of someone, I think maybe a few people got perfect scores on this, of 1250. Even the lowest score was 428. And the interesting addition here is, even though, let's say, in the biggest bracket, in the afternoon session first round, there were 80 people solving the same case, that is 40 one-on-one matches. So I've included in the stats the lowest score that allowed someone to win a round and the highest score that meant that somebody still lost. I've also included the names just as, you know, hey, commiserations, Danny Whitaker. I think he lost to Sergio. I don't know. We'll come to the bracket in a minute. But yeah, got 1,070 points and still got knocked out in round one. That's absolutely brutal. Yeah, so that's 30-minute mystery. Then the second case in the morning, which I've only just had a go at for the first time today, was Perfect Date by Klinsmann Langhans. This one was definitely the easiest case of the day. So let's pull up the stats and show you. So the average points over 1,000. The lowest score was 895. The lowest winner 920, and highest loser 1220, which, like, missed 30 points and you get knocked out. That is absolutely brutal. So commiserations to Adam. That's really tough. This case, actually, I set my own new personal best for the fastest time to solve a case by a little bit. I think my previous best was like 13:30 or 13:40 or something like that. This one I was just above 13 minutes. So it was a very fast solve. The only challenge with this one for the live stream is I think some of the early bonus questions were too easy, in that, so like, for example, one was find the day of the month of the maximum of a range of dates. And there you can't do any prep work on the live stream, but if you just highlight that column of dates during the reading time, look at the last date, look at the day of that, you can kind of immediately go in and type it in. And like, I watched the live stream after I solved the case, and that's pretty much what Matt Freed did. He got the first two bonus questions entered within like 4 seconds of time starting or something like that. He still ended up getting eliminated, which is rough. He was one of the big upsets of the day. But yeah, I think I've said to Andrew before, I think especially when it's being used for a one-on-one live stream, like in the bigger rounds in Vegas, the easier bonus questions, 4 or 5 people can get them, and then it counts down from there. But where it's heads up, and this one in particular, like, at least all the people on the live stream, pretty much everybody got the whole way through the main case, and so it was entirely decided by who locked the other person out of the bonus points quickest. Which, it's rough when it's decided that way, especially because that might mean that the round is sort of all over bar the shouting in the first few minutes. But having said that, I still thought it was a super fun case. I think a little bit of a challenge with kind of alignment of the case style to the format, in terms of the easy bonuses, but still a very fun case. All right, so then the afternoons, these are the ones I was competing in. So the first one in the afternoon was Wobble, inspired by no particular famous board game for legal purposes, I'm sure. So there was actually a sort of Scrabble variation case in the finals of Model Off way back in 2017, I think it was the last year that I took part. Pretty different case in lots of ways, but I thought this was again a super fun one, and a very tricky one. Specifically, there's like bonus 5 required you to work out, among 20 possible sets of 7 tiles, and among all the subsets of those 7, think about all the possible words that you could play anywhere on the board to maximize your hitting of bonus squares, to work out the best possible score you could get. It was a very fun one. Um, Anything else to say on this? I mean, it was definitely the lowest scoring um, round of the day. So like the others were all either in the 800s, or for Klinsmann's one over 1,000. But I mean, even on this one, the average score was 676. Um, yeah, and top score was 1140. I think that was me, 1140. Um, I was I looked at not having got a perfect score. I finished the case, but didn't get a perfect score, and thought, oh, I must have not got that last really hard bonus out. Very happy to discover I did get the really hard bonus out, and then slightly sad to discover that I made some stupid mistakes elsewhere. So there was something about scoring words going across and words going down, and the example was going down, and my default split up of letters goes down, and so you extract the kind of, spaces going down from a certain space on the board, and that lines up. But then you do an across, and it goes across like this, and so you combine those two arrays, and it broadcasts to a two-dimensional array, which is not at all what you wanted to do. Um, so yeah, I should probably have been a little bit more careful with that. And then there was also one of the later levels I forgot. It was You had to get the best possible score for a word, but it turned out there were still some non-words in there, so you had to zero those ones out. Anyway, highest loser on this one, Ben Carr. Shout out and commiserations. It sucks to go out like that. And I should mention this highest loser category is kind of particularly dear to my heart, because 2 years ago I did go out as the second highest score in the round of 32. So I guess there would have been 20 people doing that case. I got the second highest score and still went out, because I happened to be paired with Michael Holmes, who got the highest score. But that's okay, because I had my chance for a grudge match this year. We were paired against each other in round two, and I knocked him out. Sorry, Michael. Anyway, all right. So the last question of the day, and I have to pause here and say I Googled how do you pronounce Grayson's second name, and the top 3 video guides to pronouncing this name all disagreed. So there was one that said it should be Huan, one that said it should be Huan, and one that said it should be Huing. So Grayson, apologies. I tried, but I have no idea how to pronounce your second name, so I'm just going to call you Grayson now. This one was called Poetl, and it was a super interesting one. It was dealing with there was a South Africa case last year with a kind of similar thing, like dealing with data from 60 or so different tabs, and how you do that efficiently. Lots of different approaches here. I know a bunch of people used indirect, so that you can say, okay, I want whatever, I want the grid for area 43, then you can just indirect to the tab called area 43. I saw someone asked me afterwards, "Hey, did you use Power Query for it?" Which didn't even occur to me at the time, but actually would have been a very reasonable way to kind of grapple all the data into one kind of table format. You could kind of lay it out by, whatever row number, column number, and sheet name, and what's the value in there, or just filter the list of portals or whatever, and then work with it in a much more compact form. Another approach you can take on that one is you can use VSTACK. So if you give VSTACK a 3D reference, meaning a reference that spans across multiple sheets, or HStack, it'll stack that reference from each sheet one below the other. And then if you do a little bit of kind of clever tagging, to say whatever, if you VSTACK the 16 by 16 grid for all 64 tables, then you can kind of number it as, okay, this is sheet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is row 1, 2, 3 up to 16, and then back again 1 to 16 columns. And then you could even flatten it out if you wanted to. I didn't do any of those things, interestingly enough, even though I have used all of those methods before. I was a little worried about indirect, that it might be on the slow side, although I think the volume of data was small enough that actually it wouldn't have been a huge deal. But so I used a method that I don't think I've ever used in competition before, which was like formulas to write formulas. So, for example, to count the number of portals, I did a kind of direct countifs of this range in area 1, how many O's are there? And then I turned that formula into text, and then just took out the number. So where it said area 1, I just said, text up to area, close quotes, and then ampersand concat with sequence of all the 64 numbers, and then concat that with the rest of the formula. And so that gives you 64 text strings that look like formulas, and then you can copy, value, paste those so that you have like not the formula anymore, but just the text strings. Challenge is you need to then prompt those to evaluate. So if you have to go, F2 enter 64 times, then that's going to be slow. But there's another kind of neat trick to go with that, which is if you just find and replace an equals with another equals, it doesn't change the formula, but it sort of pokes the cell in a way that prompts Excel to reevaluate. So you can kind of write a formula to write the formulas, copy, value, paste, find and replace equals with equals to prompt it, or you could use something other than equals in the original thing, like use a hashtag at the start instead of an equals, and then find and replace hash with equals. Anyway, I'll make a I recorded my live attempt at that, so I will post that at some point. I should say on this one and on Wobble, I took good advantage of the getting to see the case videos in advance and spent some time. So like there's a sort of 45-minute window in which you can solve. They give you the link at the start, and that includes, before you need to hit start, that includes a link to the case video. So I watched the case videos and spent most of the next 15 minutes setting up some lambdas to help with the case, and then did it in the last. You have half an hour to solve, so I just took the last half hour of the window for that. So for Wobble, I did something that helped me to extract all the kind of horizontal or vertical strings of, say, 5 bonus characters or 7 bonus characters or whatever number. And for Poetl, I used it to do something to kind of, given a range, extract from that range all the Poetl locations and code those as row and column references and figure out the distance to those from a certain point, so that I basically had lambdas to do most of the kind of later levels pretty quickly. Anyway, more about that in the video on this specific case solution. So let's look at the scores here. So the average points 853, top score 1250, lowest score 440, lowest winner 620, and highest loser 1220. Again, Lorenzo. I mean, I sort of anticipated this being a round of death because Lorenzo and Peter were folding into each other in the second round. They're both just excellent. I mean, Peter was what is it? I think 4th place in the finals in Vegas last year. I knocked my ass out. Yeah, I feel particularly bad for Lorenzo because I feel like compared to his demonstrated skill in this format, his how far he's actually made it in the rounds has fallen far short of what it seems like he deserves. So commiserations, Lorenzo. All right, let's take a look at the results. So this was there's like eight blocks of the bracket. Lots of interesting things here. So these guys were on the live stream. So Samir and Nick Boberg both eliminated in round 1, which is like just, again, I mean, I guess this was a particularly strong draw. Samir versus Anup, for example. I didn't actually know the name Nick Lohman at all. Maybe he has competed before, or maybe, well, he must have because he's in the knockout, but I don't know how much he has competed before. But he had a great performance on the live stream in this one and in the next one, like quite commandingly made it through. But yeah, Anup and Samir and Nick Boberg all knocked out in this bracket. I mean, the fact that they were all facing each other is, again, just back to that point about bench depth, is just off the charts. I was sad to see Bo knocked out in the first round. I mean, Jean obviously did a great job. I always feel bad for Bo because he is probably the most creative, remarkable formula writer out there, but English is not his first language, and speed of reading is a huge part of being able to do well in this competition. So I would have loved to see him get further, but again, nice work by Jean, and again, followed up by another strong performance in the second round. The other kind of interesting thing in this bracket was a rare stumble from Andrew, although Somehow, the opposite of me, he seems to be able to time his stumbles to when he'll be able to get away with them. So he had one of the lowest winning scores in this round. Um, not sure what went wrong. I mean, that was definitely a case with lots of scope for off by one errors. Um, so maybe he was just maybe he was rushing, or I don't know. Maybe I guess there's lots of things that might have happened. But in any case, a rare stumble, but he still makes it through. And well, I suspect that he will quickly recover his form. But let's see how it goes. I think either Jean or Nick is showing every signs of being a pretty material obstacle to Andrew securing his path direct to Vegas. So that's first bracket. Here's the next one. The couple of things jump out in this one again. This crew was on the live stream. Matt Freed getting knocked out, definitely a big upset. Although Sergio had two excellent rounds, 1180 in both. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, this was, again, I mentioned this round was pretty much entirely decided by, or almost entirely decided by, who got two bonuses first, which is a tricky format. What else on here? Oh yeah, Jasper, another just like incredible performance to get 1160 and get knocked out in a round two. Like, to do that in a kind of semi-final or something, sure, but like the fact that 1160 doesn't secure you passage through round two these days is just wild. And Julian, I was sad to see Julian got knocked out, although I know he is coming to Vegas, so there's still a last chance path open there. But well done to Christian, who had a good showing to beat him. Oh yeah, I was sad to see Stevenson get knocked out, because he's another very good player and has made it much further than this. I want to say he's made it to maybe the quarterfinals or something like that. He's made it a long way. Whoops, did I jump ahead? I did. Anyway, that's oh yeah, and Pichaya also got knocked out in the first round. So sorry to see that. I think that's that page. So then the last of the morning session. Let's see what's going on here. I feel very bad for Pakapong getting again 1142, not enough to make it through round two. That's just a really rough draw. Actually, this entire wing of the bracket, every person scored over 1,000 in the second round, and still half of them got knocked out. Jakob, who was one of the finalists last year, yeah, again, just like nobody is safe. I don't know the name Prithviraj, but yeah, that's one to watch. And then the other kind of standout on this page is Cedric, the only person. So first he topped the qualifier round, and he's followed that up by being the only person to get double perfect scores in the first two rounds. So that is a serious statement, especially considering that he hit Adam in round two. I mean, again, I feel very bad for Adam, because he was the top losing score in this round and just like practically perfect, but still got knocked out, which is just really rough. But Cedric is on fire. So he's definitely one to watch. And by the way, Cedric is still a student. He's going to be at the Collegiate Championship Finals in Vegas. But it looks like he's got a very good chance of going straight to the main draw finals as well. So that's one to watch. Grayson versus Michael is going to be a very tough match in the next round. Let me see. So they were very close this round. Michael had the slight edge, and then here, Grayson actually beat him in the first round. So yeah, there's again back to my theme of nobody is safe. Yeah, this whole one is going to be an interesting one to watch in the next round. And then we're on to the afternoon cases. So this quartet was something I kind of looked at when the draw came out as like one of the hardest. Like that only one person from Tim Roberts, David Brown, Patrick Chatin, and Chris Clark is going through was always going to be really rough, because these guys are all very good. So yeah, so in in the first round we had Patrick Chatin, who's the reigning MECC champion and was in the semifinals in Vegas last year, got knocked out, and Tim Roberts, who's the kind of number 5 seed based on his performance in the FMWC, but has also been in, I want to say, that either the quarter or the semifinals of this competition before. Again, like this, that caliber of person getting knocked out in round one is just wild. It'd be interesting if it happened once or twice, but like it's happened many times. It's just, again, back to the point about bench depth. There's a lot going on here. Um, what else we got? Juan Cifuentes is not a name that I know, but a perfect score on Portal, so that's one to watch. So that'll be an interesting match. And then yeah, over here, Colin Shee, I think was, if I'm thinking of the right person, is also a student, and was like the top under 25 score in a few rounds of the FMWC this year. So again, just like a you know strong player to go out in the first round. Um, and sorry to see Greg Kingsbergen go out as well. That's a pity, because, well, mostly because he's a nice guy, but also because he's very good at esports. All right, who else we got? Oh yeah, so this is one of the matches that I'm most interested to see. I was hoping it would be on the live stream, but it's not going to be. But anyway, yeah, lots of interesting. So Brittany, who is still, even after his narrow defeat in this round, is still the closest person ever to having knocked Andrew Nye out of this competition. Um, so yeah, that's looks like she is ready to bring it. Let's see. So it looks like Willem came out ahead in the first round versus Brittany. Brittany came out ahead in the second round. So yeah, that's, again, I mean, it's weird that both of these people are not going to make it to the fourth round, but it's definitely going to be interesting. But anyway, a few other interesting things here. So again, Jeremy Freelove, I feel like would have been comfortably several more rounds into this a couple of years ago. Obviously, drawing against Willem in the first round is always kind of bad luck. Shout out to Team South Africa. I kind of passed by Stain earlier just because I wanted to kind of mention them all at once. But yeah, Stain drew against Matt Freed in the first round. Jason drew against Harry Gross, and Rainier drew against Joseph Palasok, which is, again, one of those things. I looked at the draw and I was like, wow, that kind of sucks for South Africa, because those guys are all very good, but they drew against 3 very strong opponents. So yeah, commiserations to them. Although there are still a few competitors flying the flag for Africa, if not for South Africa. So we've still got Cedric from Madagascar in, and we've still got Christian, also from Madagascar. Madagascar is just like weirdly a powerhouse, especially in the Collegiate Challenge. Um, anyway, what else? I don't know. A lot of names I don't actually know here, which is a little unusual, because there's a lot of recurring people, like Kobe. I don't recognize that name, but it looks like he's pretty good. So that'll be an interesting one to watch. Yeah, let's see. So if he had been head to head with Joseph in the first round, he would have won. Joseph, oh, actually, would have won both rounds. Um, Interesting, but obviously, don't write off Joseph Palasok. I will say that both because he's got a strong record and because I have personally been knocked out by him in the past. So yeah, that's another interesting round to watch. Then what do we got here? Oh yeah, so Michael Jarman, uh, two strong rounds to start with. I don't actually recognize anyone in this cluster here, I don't think. Benny Weber, I was sorry to see get knocked out again with a really high score in that knockout round. But again, there are just so few places to hide, because here's Adam Carter, who was one of the finalists in Vegas last year. But I know Benny is going to be is one of the top, if not the top, of the MECC, so he's going to be in Vegas for that and can still come back in through the last chance qualification round, which is increasingly looking like it's going to be a tough round. Again, look, Thanasis knocked out in the first round. Just, yeah, there's a lot of strong people out there. Again, Joaquin, I don't know the name at all, but got almost a perfect score in that round. So yeah, there's a lot to watch there. And second last one, this was Peter versus Lorenzo. Was kind of one of the ones I was watching as soon as I saw the draw, because that's just, again, the fact that only one of those two people can make it to round three is very rough. And the fact that they then had a clash where they were both firing on all cylinders and where it was so close, like a 12-point margin over, less than 1% margin. I feel very bad for Lorenzo. Um, Hadyn is one of I feel like one of this year's success stories. I think he only entered for the first time this year. Actually, come to think of it, I think that's also true of Jean. I think he only entered for the first time this year, and he's crushing it. But yeah, Hadyn has been like sharpening his skills and working his way up. He's got actually Hadyn and Lorenzo and Elliot, who I'll come to on the next page, all have YouTube channels now as well, where they're like regularly posting solves of these cases. So very much recommend a follow there. Hadyn versus Peter is, well, it's a tough draw for Hadyn. You'd have to say he is the underdog going into that. But on the other hand, I sure wouldn't write him off, especially if there's a case that lines up with his lambdas, because he is a lambda fiend like I am. Washington was one of the top guys in FMWC Brazil. I was kind of sad to see him get knocked out in the semifinals there, and also sad to see him get knocked out here, because again, I feel like it's just one of these people who his luck is not aligning with his skill. But I'm sure keep an eye on that name, because I think he'll be back. Yeah, Jack Franken is a bit of a speed demon, I think. I just recently got one faster than him, but he held the record for the fastest solve of an esports case for well over a year. I think it was laundry time. He cracked in like 15 minutes or something like that. Absolutely wild. And finally, my own bracket. Again, this quartet, this one and the kind of David Patrick, whoever, Tim and somebody, were kind of the two that stood out as like not a single weak player in the whole lot. So you've got, yeah, just a serious amount of skill in this group. The first round case was Harry's case. So I think, although they're kind of laid out here, I think all four of these just competed on Portal, the round two case. Liana was the top scorer to make it all the way through. But again, like Dan Siders, who was one of the semifinalists in Vegas last year, is out in round 1/2. It's just brutal. Paul Dent, again, like I don't know if he's as much of an esports, or he's at least like a very, very good FMWC competitor. I think he's pretty good at esports as well, but I can't immediately think of a record to prove that. But again, out in round one, it's just crazy. And yeah, this was my grudge match against Michael, who knocked me out. What was it, 2 years ago? Yeah, it was Joseph the first year, Michael the second year. Yeah. So luckily, I was able to come out swinging this time. So I've made it through. Let's see, I'm up against Josh Bruce, which again is a name I don't know. So I don't know. I'm comfortably ahead of him here, but never rest easy. And then if I can beat him, then I would guess, folding into Liana in round two, which is also a grudge match replay, except the other way around, because I knocked Liana out of the Battle of 16, like one of the very first of these competitions years and years ago. So she's coming back to get me. Yeah, that's it for the draw. The last thing I was just going to talk about is, just because I've been thinking about it a lot. So I'm going to be on the live stream on, well, tomorrow, for the last two knockouts. And then if I make it through that, then it's going to be the on-stage games in Vegas. And I've been thinking a lot about how different the setup and the approach is, even though it's the same case. So I just thought I'd talk a little bit about that as well. So at home, you get to see the case video before the time starts. On the live stream, you get to see the actual case before the time starts, because they can, your screen is being monitored, so they can give you the case and let you look at it. So that's kind of a nice plus for the live stream. But at home, in that prep time, so in between watching the video and starting your solve, you can write lambdas. And I take, sometimes I get the kind of call wrong because you can't always tell exactly from the videos what it's going to look like. But I often get a kind of big boost from being able to write those, but on the live stream and on stage you can't. So you can look at the case as much as you want, but you can't touch. And so that I think is going to be more of a challenge for me. So I'm trying to mull how to navigate that. The other thing is, at home you can get the bonuses anytime, and so if a bonus is linked to level 3, then you can say, all right, well, I'll come and look at that when I've solved level 3. On the live stream, only one person can get the bonus in each head-to-head match, and you saw with Klinsmann's case that can decide the round, and so that is a real sprint. That I'm definitely very nervous about, because I was on the live stream for the qualifier round, and I put in I put in, I think, 3 bonus answers within a minute or so, and I was beaten to 2 of them by 2 other people, which meant I didn't get any points for those, and could not thereafter get any points for those. So that's very rough. The only kind of saving grace for the live stream, from an ease of taking part perspective at least, is you can check your score. So you can, like, if you dump in the solutions to a level, you can go and look and say, okay, my score just jumped up by whatever 120 points. That means I got that right. If you're at home, there is no check, and you need to be sure of your answers, because if everything is off by 1, you get 0 points. And on the live stream, if everything is off by 1, you put it in, everything fails. It's probably a pretty quick fix, and then you go and drop it in again, and everything passes. But if you're at home and you put it in like that, or you put it in without rounding, or whatever, you make some small mistake, then you're dead. So that is the one kind of comfort of being on the live stream, is you'll at least be able to get some steer if something's going wrong. So anyway, that is my thoughts on round 1 and round 2 and what's coming up. So yeah, I'm on the live stream tomorrow. Wish me luck. And who knows, maybe I'll do another breakdown after that round, although this ended up being, I suspect, a lot longer a video than I meant it to be, so we'll see. That's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. See you next time.